Chat Show. Today we're going to be talking about wines that go with chicken. Now, chicken is the most popular meat dish in the UK, and it's broadly fat in flavour, so what you want is something nice and crisp to go through that. My personal favourite, Sauvignon Blanc. Now, this one's great. It's called Whitehaven. It's actually from a vineyard called Whitehaven in New Zealand, in South Island. Sauvignon Blancs are really, really crisp. They've got lots and lots of tropical flavours. And you need that just to cut through all of the sauces, the juices. But when you get the right marriage with a lovely crisp Sauvignon and a chicken, especially if you've got something with a bit of acid in it, like tomato in the dish, it's absolute heaven. The flavours that it brings out in the Sauvignon are like lime, tropical fruit, guava. It's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, that's not the only one. Closely related to Sauvignon Blanc, but slightly drier, is this Pinot Blanc from Italy, and this again is one of my personal favourites. Partly just for the presentation, I have to admit. I don't usually buy wines on presentation, but that is just gorgeous. Now, Pinot Blanc, it's often thought of as the poor relation to Sauvignon, but not at all. It's actually a very, very acidic grape, which makes it perfect as an aperitif, and perfect for cleaning your palate as well. So it's actually good at the end of a chicken dish. Just cleanses the palate, gets you ready for the next wine itself. Now I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here. In fact, two spanners in the works with the next two wines. This is another Italian wine, and I don't think ever in the last few years have I recommended two Italian wines side by side. But this one is absolutely stunning. It's a wine I discovered recently, and it's a Sicilian. And it's called Lanato Fiano, and Fiano is the actual grape. Now the taste on this is rather exquisite. When you take the top off, the cork out, what you literally, your senses are bombarded with. It's like a cross between Sauvignon Blanc, Gewürztraminer, Chardonnay, and as if someone stirred it all up in a big spoon and they're wafting the flavours up. It's stunning. On the palate, it's just perfect. It's got these lychees and like oranges, very, very broad flavours, but it's also got a little bit of honey on the back palate, and that is just absolutely stunning. It's not a wine I would recommend to drink on its own. Otherwise, with Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Blanc, you can get away with those as a wine to just enjoy. This desperately needs food, but quite stunning with it. Now, some people don't like white wine at all, and luckily for chicken, you can also get away with something like this. Now, this is a Southern Australian Merlot. Merlot is normally a very broad, fairly heavy style of wine, but the Australians make a rather ripe, berry flavoured, very light, no tannin, just a very, very soft style, and that can also accompany most chicken dishes. And for me, it's gorgeous, but I would always go for that one, I'm afraid. Sauvignon Blanc will always win with me, but you're safe with any of these dishes. Thank you. Hi, welcome to the Fat Chat Show. Today we're going to be talking about a sugar rush. It's wines to go with puddings. Now, to be honest, we've kind of lost the art of accompanying a wine to every dish these days, and by the time you get to pudding, it's a bit like Downton Abbey, isn't it, really? But if you're going to accompany a wine with your sweet, it's got to be right. The best in the world, in my opinion, is this. It's Royal Tokai, and that's 5 Put-New. That means it's very, very sweet. Now, Tokai is an accidental wine. When a Hungarian castle was besieged and they couldn't pick the grapes, by the time they got there, the grapes had shriveled with rot, and they were very, very concentrated. And instead of making a dry wine, it made this luscious honeyed wine, and you can almost see the viscosity in it when you turn the bottle. And it's about the sweetest wine you can get. Now this, normally you would look for something that's going to match the flavours of the food and just bring them down a bit. But with puddings, you want something different. You want to enhance all the luxuriant sweet flavours, and this does it to a T. Beware if you have sugar problems though, because this really is packed. Now, secondly, a very, very rare wine. And this is called Klein Constantia van de Constance. Now this was an incredibly popular wine in the 17th century, would you believe, even though it's South African. And in the 17th century, we were the biggest importers of South African wine. We were bringing something like 1 million cases a year into the UK. And then various problems happened with the colonies and the fighting. And then with apartheid, we lost touch altogether with South Africa. But thankfully, Klein Constantia kept making this wonderful wine. It's a naturally sweet wine. As with the Tokai, there's nothing added. It's simply the power and the concentration in the grapes. Now this one is slightly different from the Tokai itself. I would say despite being sweet, it's also slightly more acidic and slightly more base. Perfect with sticky toffee pudding. The New World have also been working on one or two things lately, and they, as with all things New World, they tend to get it right. Now this is a Rutherglen Muscat. Rutherglen is Australia's sweet wine capital. As you'll notice, it's slightly darker, and that's a bit more to do with the grape contact and the oak aging than anything else. But it's also a lot more fuller flavoured and a lot more aromatic. Muscat is one of those grapes that at times you'll think it's too sweet to taste. And when you get it on your palate initially, it can make your mouth go like an opal fruit. But again, if you partner it with the right dish, anything fig based, it's absolutely incredible. These wines also go superbly with ice cream. Surprising, but you can pour them on ice cream, and there's something like a nice vanilla cream. It's absolutely superb. The marriage of flavours is just incredible. But with this one, the thing that's important is the aftertaste. Try putting a little bit in your mouth and just hold it on your palate, and then swallowing it or spitting it out, whichever you want to do if you're posh. But then a few minutes later, just try and remember the flavours, and you'll find that your palate is absolutely full of them. And that's called the length of the wine, the aftertaste, how long you can still remember all those flavours. And the Rutherglens always come out on top of that.